We have a big one today, guys. Today we are going to build the man cave mansion, but we're going to do it bigger and better. We're adding a pool, 2 stories underground, a waterfall, a full lounge, and it's all going to be operational. Hey, I'm FarmSim25 Builds. If you like what I'm doing here, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, comment, ask questions, guys. I will do anything I can to help. And let's all build like this. It's not that hard. We can all do it, and I am going to show you the way, step by step, what to get, what you need, and how to do it. Alright guys, as always, I am on the beautiful map of Settlers in FarmSim25. I do use the field 19, 20, and 21 for this, and it's usually what I build on for these bigger builds. Settlers does have a massive neighborhood that you can build out, which I do have a build series on, and if you haven't seen it, check it out. We are working on building out the full city, and you guys can build along with that as well and do it on your own maps. We are going to level out this area here, get it raised up just a hair and nice and flat, and then I'm going to go around the edge with the soften tool just to make sure that it doesn't look too goofy and unnatural. It's not perfect, but it does kind of look better. So we're going to grab our farmhouse now. I do like to place the farmhouse so I know how big of a hole to make. So we're going to place it, and this house doesn't paint the ground under it. Some shops will. So I'm going to just paint an outline of the house. Go right around the edges here, and then I know exactly what I have to work with. In the back, I am going to extend it back just a hair bigger than the house because I have a plan, and we'll get to that later, but we are going to put a pool back there. So you can see here, it's almost exactly the same size as the large sculpting tool. So we will put that on the strongest setting, get this lowered down, get out our leveling tool, and level. I do like to hold A an excessive amount of time. The better you do here, the easier it's going to be later on. A lot of people that struggle with building these underground man caves will get impatient and rush it at this part. Don't rush it. Take your time, let it sit, make sure every corner is nice and neat and a perfect point. Like I said, you will have a harder time if you don't take your time now. So I like to just hold it there. I'm extending it back, like I said, because we're going to add a little bit bigger area back here. I don't want it too small, which I did end up making it a little too small to get semis down there, but that's not a huge deal. You don't really need your semis in your basement unless you want to flex, which I can get one down there still. So at this point, I am going to pull out the wall pieces just to see how deep I went, and it actually looks like I went perfect on my first shot. So we can stack 2 up. So now what I'm going to do is raise the ground next to a wall piece so I can make my landing. It is kind of being goofy here, so I had to make it a little bigger to get it raised up high enough, but I just want to be sure that I am level with that first wall piece, which did end up making it a little bit too high. Not a huge deal, we work with it. So I'm going to level this area out now, making sure that everything is nice and neat, just like with the bottom corners. You want to make sure everything is squared off. Like I said, that is super important here. It is a little tricky when making these landings. You are going to kind of distort the walls a little bit, so we will kind of clear that up and clean it up here in a little bit. Like I said, we're just going to make this all nice and neat. Good corners, good edges, the whole works. I did have to delete that wall because it won't let you build around it, but I kind of sloped this corner, so I'm going to quickly go over it with that tool. All of this is on the highest setting for the tool, guys. And I'm using one size bigger than the smallest. That usually fits trucks, pickups, semis, all of that pretty well. Coming down here, I will zoom in a little bit and go lower. You can see how there's kind of a slope there. If you go to the tool one bigger than the smallest, it does kind of give you an easier workspace and squares it off a little bit better than the smallest tool. So I do try and stick to the one size bigger tool. You can see I kind of brought out that end of the landing there because we are going to make a ramp to drive down to the bottom, and then it's going to have an overlook to look at the shop below. Like I said, we just go back and forth though, up and down, making sure everything is level everywhere. Every time I move to a different level though, I do let go of A so it doesn't mess up what I've done. Be mindful when you are going back and forth that you don't accidentally go too far. do something that you're gonna regret and have to fix. So you can see here, I kind of did go too far there and it kind of made that little wall bump out. So I'm trying to go back and forth and figure out what we're gonna do to fix it. Right now I am gonna place the house right in the hole just to see how it's gonna fit. You can see that I am just about exact, just a little oversized, but that's not a huge deal. We do end up fixing that later and making it look really good in the end, guys. Just take your time. Like I said, the more time that you take with these sculpting tools, the easier time you will have to place all of your walls and ramps and everything like that. You don't necessarily have to do the same layout. I did just kind of like this layout. I made this on my TikTok stream the other day, and that's kind of where I got some of these ideas from. You are welcome to take these ideas step by step if you'd like, or add your own twist. And if you do, show me, guys. I would love to see what you guys can do. Alright, we're on to the slope now. As you guys know, get the center of that square perfectly where you want the slope to end. So I get it a little above the corner, the bottom corner there. Let go of X, go straight away from it. When you get to the end of where you need your slope, hold A and move slowly back to where you were. We're going to do another slope here. This one's going to be reversed, so it's a little tricky, a little bit different, but we got it perfect. So we're going to go back and forth on this, just filling in them corners. We do kind of mess up the sides, but that's okay. We are going to fix that later. We're going to put retaining walls on these walls, so once again, they have to be straight, guys. Be very careful with that part. Make sure they're straight, they look nice, and they fit well. We do kind of have the ground poke through one of our retaining walls later in this video. So we do have to put a wall up and kind of hide that. Not a huge deal, pretty easy fix, but it is a hassle. So I go and paint the ground green here just so it all looks uniform before I place my walls. And I do see that bump out there is pretty excessive. So I decided to try and fix it, and then I kind of made it worse. That's what happens. Just go back and forth, take your time. Don't get frustrated, don't give up. Like I said, this one took me like 4 hours to make this entire build here. And the one before that took me like 7 hours, guys. That whole stream is posted to my YouTube there. It is just raw stream footage, so you will have me talking to the chat and demonstrating other things. So it does take a little bit longer doing it that way. This one I just had uninterrupted time and built it by myself. Going around here, I decided it is time to paint the inside concrete, so we quickly paint that and then fix the edges. Alright, we are going to fix up this driveway a little bit here, and I kind of made it a little tight. So I do get a truck and test it here right after I do this, because I kind of messed it up. I didn't really like how far I went, so we're going to redo this. And then always just test it. If you don't like what you're doing, you're not happy with it, try again. Not a big deal. I could have smoothed this all out, but instead I just quickly went back down it with the tool one size bigger than the smallest. Always on the strongest setting. Every single time use the strongest setting. There's a little bump at the beginning there, but not a huge deal. You're not even going to notice it in the end. And on this map, I always paint the driveway with asphalt because it looks so good. Doesn't quite look good on the inside doing that, but outside I do like it. So here we are going to place the retaining wall, and they do have like corner pieces, so I'm going to utilize those. And I decided I'm going to check if I can go all the way down on the inside. When you are using fences or these retaining walls, you can click the right stick and it will remove the last section that you placed if you don't like where you placed it. So I do that a few times just to go back. I try going all the way around this little lounge area, but we end up deleting it because I don't love it. I think the concrete walls just fit better in there. This design isn't perfect, and I don't really love using the concrete retaining wall because it puts like a patch of asphalt on the outside, which is kind of goofy. So we're just going to do the corners here just to kind of hide the gate and make it look a little more professional. This is something I've been practicing and working with my last few. These retaining walls can be tricky because you have to do them kind of backwards. You do it one time and then backwards the next time, but it does end up looking really nice once you finally get it if you do it right. Right there you can see that it kind of glitches through on this ramp because it's got such an angle there. Not a huge deal, we will hide that later on. You can work around it, just don't get upset, don't give up guys. Like I said, take your time. Those walls are tricky to place too. I might make a separate video on just placing walls like that. Now you can see here, I went and measured again just to be sure I was still right. You don't want these walls sitting above the outside edges because they kind of glitch into the house. So right here, I'm just going to get these as perfect as possible and line them all the way around. I did notice at the top I didn't quite make high enough for the second story there. So I am going to have to kind of glitch them together and do like 1.5 panels. And it is going to be more work, so I decided to start with the bottom where it's easy because I like the progress. Progress keeps me going and makes me feel like I'm doing something right. So I'm just going to take my time. This can be also frustrating. I try and do it with snapping. If snapping doesn't work, I will change it to free and turn snapping off, but that can be kind of tricky. I do like to get these as perfect as possible though because it just looks better, you know. If they're off or there's gaps, it is going to kind of look funny, and I do kind of get rushed here and I accidentally forgot a gap on that last panel. We see it later, but I do end up fixing it and blending it, and I think I did pretty well with the fix, so we'll talk about that in a little bit here, but we'll just continue going around. You can see that panel's a little off. It does kind of make things look a little goofy, but not too worried about it. Like I said, they are kind of stressful to deal with. Just do your best. You can see here is where I'm doing like 1.25 panels just to get this part lined up perfectly. And I decided to glitch it in and then grab the smaller panel. Just go back and forth, getting them as lined up as possible because that isn't going to be perfectly covered by the ceiling later on. So if you have an even top, it's just going to look that much better. I mean, it's the small little things, guys. We talk about the small details all the time. This is one of those moments. Just get them lined up. Take your time. It can be stressful. This is why you take your time when you're doing the leveling tools, because this does make a huge difference in placing these panels. It will change your build time from, you know, hours to an hour, depending on how much time you take with your leveling and smoothing the ground and making sure that they're all nice pointy corners. So coming around here, we are almost finished with the concrete walls. They do get off a little bit sometimes, especially doing this method. It is kind of a pain. I really struggled with some of these panels and it was getting frustrating. But like I said, it is all worth it in the end, especially when you get to flex this place to your friends. I mean, think about what your friends are going to say when they pull up on your map and you've just got a 2-story underground layer, bro. Like, it will be so cool. They're going to love it. Everyone's going to love it. And it's really not that hard. Like I said, and like I'm proving here even, is this isn't that hard to do. Anyone can do it. I mean, I taught myself how to do it, so I'm going to teach you. This part, like I said, is a little tricky, and you do kind of have to go back and forth. Just get it as close as possible. When you are doing this, you are going to kind of cover that area with the gate, so don't worry too much about it. I did notice that little gap there, and I have to contemplate deleting the entire wall in all my progress, or we fix it. So how we're going to fix it is we're going to try and put some pillars there and maybe just do a pillar, but I don't really like how these look. This one is from the Bunker Silo pack. This is a pack that I haven't listed yet, but it really does work pretty good for some of these smaller little things. If you do place one of these pieces though, like we use the concrete piece to the left there, a little bit later on the pool, and the one above for the header to the garage door. Now those parts do show up invisible underneath, just like the house, so you do have to have something to place under them. Keep that in mind. Going back here though, I decided I'm just gonna make a little stem wall. So we just add 2 little pieces here, get it lined up perfectly, and boom, voila, perfect. We could put toolboxes there, but instead I want to put a waterfall. I love putting these waterfalls in the man caves. I think that they are just beautiful. It's just neat, it sounds cool, and it adds a nice little, you know, effect to the place. So we're gonna go around. This is the piece that I was talking about that is invisible from underneath, but it works perfect as a half wall too. So we're gonna try and use it to cover up those little patchy spots. Doesn't quite do what I want, but I don't hate it, so we'll leave it there for now. We're gonna come back over and start kind of looking at our lounge, man cave, compound, whatever you want to call it. It could be any of those things. So I kind of play around with this idea of the wall. I do want the scenic overlook over there, so we are gonna leave an opening at the end. Going around here, like I said, it is just important to go back and forth and try everything. We're gonna go back to the gate here, place this gate before we can finish the walls of the lounge. We do kind of want this to be perfect and sitting right. So since I've got that little indent there, I'm going to use that for the keypad to the gate and kind of tuck it away, and I think it kind of adds a little effect to it. We're going to go back to the concrete walls and hide the bracketry for the gate now. This does prove to be a little tricky because it doesn't want to snap perfectly, but I do end up turning off snapping and it just sat right. Look at that. We do end up getting it perfect here, and that just looks so good. So we're going to come and do it to this side now, which this side does prove to be a little trickier because it is a bigger area and then a bigger opening over there. So we're going to go back and forth here. We're going to add 2 of them just to really cover it up. But then we've got that awkward space, so what we decided to do is add a little wall here. We're going to use a bigger piece here and kind of just barely tap it in. Like I said, you might have to turn off snapping to do this part, which is usually click the left thumbstick, but that does help sometimes to just get it lined up perfectly. And if it's not perfect, guys, not a huge deal. You can usually hide it, or you'll just never notice it. I mean, if you guys saw the tiny little mistakes that I made, it would be insane, but you can usually hide them, so don't freak out about it. Just do your best, take your time, and you won't regret taking your time ever. Alright, so I did make the mistake the other day of waiting to add lights, and then I learned that it doesn't like to put lights above things, so it kind of gets tricky. So we're going to place our lights now. That is important to do them first, I have learned, so if you watch my older videos, ignore when I said to place lights last. That's because I usually forget it. This time we are going to place them before we start doing decorations, just kind of moving back and forth, looking at the wall lights. I usually just use these ones. I try and get these ones up higher, but it doesn't quite want to go. I could place light boxes, but not really important enough. You don't really see these ones, they just are bright. So we're going to go and place a whole bunch of them in here because this is a huge space, guys. Like a very big space. I did make the lounge a little big on this one too. If you guys wanted, you can make the lounge a little smaller, and it's not a horrible option. Oh, looks like I accidentally deleted them walls there, and we decided that we're gonna put a just short wall here. See how that looks, see if we can get it lined up the whole way. It's not quite what I want though. When you walk up to these walls, they are a little tall. They're about the same like eye level as the top, so you can't really see it like below. We'll leave it for now and kind of see how we feel a little bit later. Let's start decorating. I do want a TV in here, so we're gonna start with the TV. I don't like that TV stand though, so I do usually try and cover it. There is a pile of wood in one of the decorative objects packs that looks really nice and covers the TV perfectly, so you can kind of make a wooden TV stand if you want. So we're gonna do that here. This is all trial and error though. All of this is, you know, you're making something from nothing, so you kind of have to be creative and, you know, try it out. Try something, delete it if you don't like it, try it again. The other day what we did is we placed these around, and then I used mailboxes turned around to make like green cabinets. We decided not to do that on this one. I end up using a stone trough because I think that it ends up looking a little bit better for what we're gonna do for our man cave here. But we do go through and kind of test some different objects. That's what I'm doing now. That's when I find the trough. Instantly, guys, it is instant delete. Delete everything there and start using these. Like I said, we will use that mailbox a little bit later to make some wall cabinets, which I should have started with, but I didn't have the idea. But you'll see that at a later point here. So I do like to do a countertop. I just use these plates. This is from the additional decoration package. These plates are pretty good for a countertop. They're not perfect when you get up close, but no one really looks that close, guys. And like I said, we're doing something that you're not really supposed to be able to. I am going to put hedges up here. I love the green look, the greenery, the flowers, the life. It's just nice. So we're going to put that as our little banister railing, I guess you could call it. Now we are going to continue going through decoration packages, and I decided that we should do a little storage room. I've never really done a separate room, so let's build a storage room here and see how it turns out. Alright, so we are going to go to the fences, and there is this fence here. It's Asian clay wall stone foundation, and it does fit perfectly and lets you use it as a quote-unquote door. Like I said, we make things work here. It's not perfect, but we'll make it work, you know what I mean? So we're going to extend this just to kind of hide the edges. Wow, that actually turned out really, really nice. Alright, now we just continue going through decoration packages. Look through the decoration. I go through it 100 times. I'm not even kidding. It's ridiculous how many times I will go through it just to find the perfect thing. And you kind of have to jump around when you're building, you know. You will see one thing and go, oh, I don't want to forget about that. That'd be perfect over here. So go and place it, come back, kind of jump around. You can see here I jump back and forth, trying to make this work. Here it is a stove, so we will place that stove, and then the grill just kind of adds a little flair to it. It's not perfect, but it works, right? So we need to finish off the countertop. I check if these plates would look good anywhere. We will use those later on. We also test this out as a bar top. I don't really love it, so we just keep the black countertops. I haven't finished off all the countertops yet because, like I said, I don't really know what we're doing yet. We just kind of jump back and forth, figure it out as we go. I do know over by that storage room I want a bar and a little like kitchen, quote unquote. So we do have that planned out, but we're not quite done yet. I do decide to delete all of that stuff and restart with that corner there, so that we can do the white white cabinets all the way around, quote unquote cabinets, right? So we're gonna place these and go all the way around, which I placed that little decoration deer. It does glow. So we're gonna go and remove that and then finish out these, and we will place that back a little bit later. You can go walk right up to that thing and turn it on, and it just like glows. It's kind of cool. There's also like a Christmas tree and Santa's sleigh. It's just like a reindeer, but kind of looks like a dog in a way. I don't know. Not really a dog person, but it works. So, like I said, this is just back and forth decorations, and then back to other things. You know, you'll delete, move. It's a lot, but if you follow what I'm doing here, you can copy what I'm doing if you want, and it might be a little easier for you. Let's hope. Like I said, if you have any questions though, join my Discord, drop a comment below. I will try and reply to everything and help out as much as I can. We're just going to keep placing those countertops and keep going back and forth just to make everything look pretty natural, or as natural as we can, you know? I like that realism effect as close as we can get. I mean, with what we're working with, we are making something out of nothing, right? So we're going to try and make that look nice. The TV isn't centered perfectly, but you know what? It's a man cave. We're not perfect, guys. We do kind of want to make a shelf for the TV to sit on, so I am going to make a shelf here in a second with another wood decoration piece. But like I said, we're just going to try and fill all the white with these little black plates. Like I said, these plates are in the additional decoration package. They've got a ton of different decoration packages. I would highly recommend going through and just downloading every single decoration package. I have every decoration package that I could find. I might be missing one maybe, but I'm pretty sure I've searched, few and far between, looking for these mods, and I think I've got just about everything. Using this one here, it's from the decorative objects package. It does work pretty well to make shelves, so we'll go and look at it here, check how it's looking, and check our progress. So we walk down here and see that shelf. Doesn't look too bad. If I was sitting here watching TV, it would make sense. We open up that door and we see that it kind of glitches through that countertop there, so we delete that one and test our door again. Voila, perfecto. Okay, I am happy with that. We're gonna look around here a little bit. I did buy a truck just to check sizing and make sure that it would fit. It really didn't, but that's okay. Don't tell anyone. Going back through our decoration package here, we're just gonna place a little random, jugs. I don't know if that's a milk jug. Probably shouldn't have it out on the counter, but who cares? We'll leave our milk on the counter if we want. We'll get our little lunchbox here, find a perfect little spot for it. Right there works. I mean, they don't have a ton of little small things that you can put on countertops, but they do have some things, and I mean, we'll make it happen. Like I said, just cycle through the decorations, look back and forth, look around, check all your options. There's little random things hidden that you'll get done building this and go, oh shoot, I should have used that, but it'll be too late. So take your time here. I'd go through and look at these shelves and find the best one that would probably work for that closet. They don't really have any that would work for like a quote-unquote bar pantry. But that one does look good enough. Once again, that shelf that we use for the TV stand, we will put 2 shelves above this shelving, just so there's additional storage there, and then we will fill that with boxes and other little things like that, just to give it that storeroom vibe. I did go small with this storeroom because we're not putting vehicles in there. You don't need a ton of space, and I learned with my first lounge that I built in the 2-story man cave that these spaces are huge, guys. You'll struggle to fill it in, so take your time. Maybe make it a little smaller than what you need. Even this one is a little excessive. I do want to cover the top of the doorway, quote unquote, so I'm gonna check my options here and see what I can do to make it work, but those things stick out and that kind of bothers me. I don't really know what to do there, so we're gonna toy around with the idea of trying some different shapes, sizes, things like that, but nothing really fits and it hangs out. And like I said, these ones are invisible from the bottom, so you can see here I walk under it, I look up, you can see right through it. Like I said, this is all trial and error. I mean, you can copy what I'm doing, as I've stated before, but add your own little spice to it, try things out, just be patient, hop out, change back and forth between, construction mode and playing mode, and just see how it looks, see how it feels. I do decide to finish off this wall here and go all the way up with it, so we're gonna go back and forth and try and figure that out, but it doesn't quite want to snap. And if that's the end of the wall, that'll drive me nuts. So we have to have it perfect. We are going to toy with the idea of putting a door here now, but the space isn't quite enough with the bar there. It's just not wide enough. I do kind of realize early on that the concrete walls are going to be too big on either side, so I have to figure out what to do about that. So we'll kind of go and see what we're working with these concrete walls. It is easier to pull them out sometimes and see the space that you have. I probably could have stacked them, but that would have made a little narrow hallway, and I didn't want that. So we decided we'll try and put it all the way to one side. Spin that wall around, see what works best. And just toy with the place. See what area you have and what you can work with, and send it. It's not going to be perfect your first try, and like I said, this is my second try at the 2-story underground one, and this one even took me hours. I can see here now that I got lucky, and doing that is going to make it so I can put that header wall in and fit it perfectly. So we'll kind of toy with that again. It's saying flattening failed. If it does say that, press B and then re-click on the object and try and place it again, that flattening failed should go away. That is huge. I've never ran into that until the other day when I was filming this, but that worked every time to fix it, so I'm not gonna complain. I do know it is invisible underneath here. I don't like that, as you guys know, so we are gonna kind of have to figure that out. But for now, that is at least a doorway. So I decide let's put some greenery. I love these little entryways, so we're gonna place one there, and then we'll see where else they can fit and where they can go. Look at that. We can use that for above our bar. Perfect. We'll place one there. Let's put one over the TV just to bring that green vibe in here. But I still don't know if that's enough. We're gonna need more green, more flowers. Let's liven up this place. I love the flowers and all of that, the colors. We don't want it boring and looking like a jail cell. I mean, this could look like a jail cell so quick. Imagine that. You have this awesome underground layer, but it looks like a prison cell. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be trapped in that. Going back and forth here. Let's get our reindeer back. Look at that thing. Just glows. There's that tree and Santa's sleigh. Kind of neat little additions. I'm not much of a, Christmas decoration kind of guy. We do put up a tree every year, the wife and I, but yeah, not really one for putting massive Christmas trees outside of my yard, That's not really me. I'm not really that guy. Going around here, I kind of decided maybe let's add a little layer of these flower pots. You can totally do stuff like this, guys. Glitch things up in the air, glitch things, floating on the wall, whatever you want. You can do it, depending on how much patience you have. That is the key. You've got to have patience. This stuff is not easy on the first try, but once you get it once, it's pretty simple. There is a wall light kit in the lights here that it's like a white box. I'll use them later when we put the header over the garage entrance. You can place them anywhere and then make things float and then delete them and things will just float. So that is kind of nice. You can see here I grabbed them. These little boxes here, when you place them on the ground, you can just make things float with them. So I couldn't quite get that place where I wanted. Usually the dollar sign or the money amount is what it's gonna float over. So if I didn't have anything there, it might glitch into the ground and things like that. I need a roof for this now. Ooh, perfect. That wooden bridge there. Look at that. That looks nice. See, we fill in that space. We made a little topper. I love that. Gotta add that checker table. It's really the only good game that they have. I mean, I haven't seen anything else. You can get like a claw machine, and that's in one of the dynamic object packs. You buy it like it's a quote-unquote vehicle, but it's like a claw machine. So we could put one of those up there. I didn't really think of it when making this video, but that would be a neat addition to anyone's man cave. So keep things like that in mind. You don't only have to have checkers. That is all that we were able to find in this video. But it works. I mean, it works. I do want to add a real table though, because like I said, there is a stove and a grill there. I mean, it's not really realistic to have the grill there. Imagine cooking with that grill right there. Oh, that'd be a little sketch. So it does kind of look a little incomplete at the top. I do kind of want to fill that in. Don't really know how yet, but you kind of have to have some ideas and just keep them in mind, See this brick? Not great, but it works. We'll place it there just as a placeholder for now. I do have this table. I like this wooden round table. I tried to use a barrel the other day, but I couldn't find a tabletop for it, so this table works perfectly. I will leave one chair pulled a little bit out. Then we'll also use these chairs as bar stools too. Those look pretty good there. Coming around, like I said, I love the flowers. I will always add flowers and plants and as much as I can to my builds. You can overdo it and make it look tacky and kind of ugly, so be careful, but if done right, it's so nice. So we will add a few here to kind of make like a little wall of flowers, I guess, just for some pops of color. I decided to start from the end and then work my way in just to kind of hide the seams a little bit better. so it looks more complete at the area that you will walk by. Working over here, that is a big space left open. We'll figure that out later. Let's add a little stepping stool in the closet and continue on. I see the spool of rope might fit in that box, but it didn't quite, so we decided to skip it. Ooh, look, a crate of milk. Crate of milk looks great on the counter. Why spoil only one jug of milk when you can spoil a whole crate, right? I don't know what they were thinking when they added that. I mean, I guess there is a dairy production pack, and that is the dairy decoration pack is the one that I use for the concrete plates outside a little bit later. But I don't know why they would just add a decoration of a crate of milk. That's just kind of goofy. I do kind of just cycle through, like I said, check every single option, see what you can do. In others, there's this flower bed. That works. So we filled that space with that just to add some color over there. Moving through others, I have a ton of decoration houses that we use for the neighborhood, but that's really the biggest thing that they have there. I do find these cabinets, this is what I was talking about. I used those the other day to line the bar. I don't want that here, but they do work as wall cabinets a little bit, which I should have deleted the roof of this area and then placed them to get them perfectly, but I didn't really think of it and it was too late and I didn't want to go back, so we just kind of placed them up there as nicely as we could. Still needs one more though, so we'll add one more quickly, and you can see it kind of painted the ground when I painted it. Keep that in mind. We'll go back and fix that later, but it's not super important to fix at this moment. It's easy enough, right? So those cabinets look pretty good. They work. And then I see these in decoration. I like it. So we are going to kind of glitch these together and then make them just kind of look like decorative like log beams, I guess. That worked out so nice for what I was going for there. I'm very happy with that. The roof and ceiling of this man cave will kind of just leave a small gap in between, and that'll look really, really nice in the end. So I'm very happy with how that turned out. Like I said, all we used was a bridge, those little entrances to like a garden, and then decorative wood piles. Like, really? Super easy, guys. It just takes a little creativity, trial and error, go back and forth, try different things. And like I said, just test things out. Right here, we're using these little red railings to put on top of the hedges and make it look like an actual railing. Since we did them over there, we decided to put one right there just to line it up at the end. I do think a garbage can would look good there, so we are going to put a big garbage can, like I say in all my builds. Everyone needs a garbage can, they're important. I put a truck in the wall on the last one. This time let's do a canoe. So we decided to put a canoe, and then we place a boat over here, but that little tugboat is kind of ugly, so we do end up deleting that, but yeah, the canoe can stay. We're going to place some statues. Once again, I just like to fill in the space. We try and make a pillar here, but it's a little too tall for that to be a pillar. So we just go around, grab the other statues, and continue placing them just to fill up our counter space and make it look a little more lively. Let's put a little swan right there looking at the shop. Sunflower, I mean, maybe it'll add some color, right? Instead of just being a prison, but no, not quite my vibe. That's a little much for what I'm going for. We try the dolphin out. I mean, if you have to, guys, click on every single one and just check it out. Try it in every single space if you have to. By the end of this, you will kind of learn where things are and kind of, you know, what mods you like and which ones you don't. I do decide to fill in this little gap here and finish this out and make it look complete. So we place a few more of those little planter boxes. Continuing down, we just, like I said, cycle through. I go up and down in the mods and test everything out, make sure that I'm completely happy with the space. Here we toy with the idea of putting another truck on the wall, but no, that's not for this shop. I should have maybe found some stuff to put on the walls. You can, like I said, glitch anything into the walls, make anything. We decide not to though. But like I said, I'm just clicking through. I just click on it, check it out, put it in a little corner, see how it is. It's pretty easy to go and delete something. Just take your time and don't delete something you don't want to. So the last time I put a waterfall in my shop, I did realize that I wanted it raised up, so we go and grab those light boxes this time and we're gonna raise it up. But then we actually end up going with a bigger waterfall that didn't even need those cubes, so it didn't really matter. Those are just useless. You can kind of ignore that if you want, but it does help to raise things up if you want. You can see how it just kind of sits on them if I want it to. We'll just put that in the corner there. And then this paint for rock on the map Settlers actually does add a rocky texture, which is kind of neat. You don't really have to do that, but I think it adds a good little feature and kind of blends it in and hides the water. I did do the taller waterfall this time because the last time doing the short waterfall, it was hard to hide the water and have it look real. So we are going to do bigger rocks here to bring that water level up a little bit. You won't necessarily be able to just walk up and see it, but it still does look nice and it fills in the space, and I love that water feature. So we are going to cycle through the rocks. This is a pretty good end cap rock. So we will go around and fill in that space, and you can see there where I had that gap earlier on the concrete walls and we added that little fix. This worked perfect for this waterfall here. It was a good end cap to the waterfall, and it looked like, you know, maybe those stones were there and we just put in some pipes and plumbing to make it a waterfall. So here we'll go and we'll test the water level. You do have to be sure that you have it facing the opposite way of where you're at, so you don't just have water floating in the air. And then leave build mode and walk up to it. You take a swim, hop in there, check it out, you know, make sure everything lines up, it looks natural, it doesn't look, you know, too fake. I mean, obviously this is a game, but that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. So let's kind of look through what else we have for options and continue on with our build. Like I said, it's all about hopping back and forth. None of this is going to be perfect on your first try, so take your time, work on this in separate little stints, you know, jump back and forth, try different things. I want a little palm tree out here, so we are going to try some different options there. I find these floating boats, that's kind of neat, but it won't really fit in our pond, and that would kind of be ridiculous anyway for this little area, so we're not going to put one in. We are going to add a couple little banana trees and palm trees because it just looks cool, right? Like I said, we just go back and forth trying different things for the area. I do think that this coconut tree looks better than the banana tree, so we replace it there, but you don't want to overdo it. I mean, they're quote-unquote artificial trees underground, so let's not make it look like the jungle down here, at least completely. I know I use a lot of plants, so yeah, I might have to take back what I said. Let's make it look like a jungle down here. Alright, so I did kind of take a break from the lounge area up there. I just needed a little second to kind of consider what we're doing and think about that space. So we are going to place some lifts down here. I know that from the lounge I want to be able to see the car stackers, but I don't really know how it's going to fit in that space. You do kind of see how you need space to pull in and out. So be mindful of that. Maybe go build a car, grab a car, test it out, see if you can actually drive down there and turn around and actually utilize the space, because that is really important before you get too far. So over here I do decide let's put some workbenches in, and we do line them up. These are the ones in the tools category. These are functional vehicle workshops, so you can walk up to this, click the left thumbstick, and fully customize your vehicle, you know, change the paint, the configurations, the rims, whatever you want to change on it, you can do it that little tool bench. So I do like to add one or two of them. I mean, you only get to use one of them, but I like how they look when you stack them together. I did add some pallet racking back here, so we are going to kind of fill that space in as well and make it look like, you know, quote-unquote storage for the mansion. And like I said, I want a functional car shop, so we are going to put a cherry picker. You can't use that, unfortunately. I wish that you could, you know, play this like it was Car Mechanic Simulator. That would be so cool. I mean, we got the workable lifts, we got cars where the hood can open. Let me just move that cherry picker and pull a motor out. That would be so fun. I would never stop playing this game if I could build things like this and actually build cars like it was Forza. Oh my, you guys, that's a billion-dollar game idea right there. If someone's a game developer, hit me up. Let's work on this. I would love to do that. Mix Forza and Farm Sim and call it like just awesome life sim or something like that. I don't know, man. But like I said, we just go through here, we see what fits for that space. I do see this little kind of messy pile of wood, and I think that looks pretty good up there. We've got like some toolboxes with a pallet jack and just random little storage essentials. These crates are kind of nice. Some of them are massive, but these smaller ones do fill up this area pretty well. So we will place that one there. I like this ladder, just, you know, what grown man doesn't have a ladder? So we'll place that there, and like I said, trash cans. Always have a trash can, make sure you don't forget it. They are very important, everyone needs one, especially in a shop. You know how often I am throwing away garbage in a shop, in my garage? All the time. So we'll just toy around with these few things here and try and make that look like, you know, I threw it up there because I might need it later. Wink wink. We all have those things, right? I do try and place that one really close, but with these benches and shelves that I'm using now, they are in the dynamic objects pack. When you place them, you can walk up to it and pick it up. So I was hoping that I could glitch it into that other one, but it didn't really like that, so it kind of shot it diagonal. I am going to have to go and pick that up later and move it around, but that is the beauty of those workbenches. If you do place those workbenches though and you want to delete them, they show up in the vehicle category and they don't really show you where they're at, so keep that in mind when you place them. Be mindful not to place too many, or you'll end up deleting all of them and have to replace all of them. You do sell those, like I said, just like a vehicle, but you can walk up, press B, move it around. We try it over here, but that retaining wall is kind of too sloped for the backing there. Every time I'm trying to pick this up, it is pressing the lift. So we try this smaller one in hopes that maybe it lines up a little better, but nope, still looks goofy. So let's just try this out here and move these around. Like I said, it's all trial and error. We will never get this on our first try perfect. So place them around, move them around. Those ones, like I said, you can just pick them up and put them wherever you want. I do decide it is time to finish off this wall up here, and it's time to decide how we're gonna fix this. So we try and go fence. I think the fence would look good there, but if you look, when I do the fence, it doesn't really want me to do it. It's kind of throwing a fit. So we're gonna try the hedge and see if that looks better. You will find out though that on slopes, the hedge and fences kind of glitch and do this stair step effect. And it doesn't look great. You kind of have to deal with it if it's outside, but I don't really like that inside, especially from that side. That looks terrible. So we are gonna try and figure out how we can fix this. We're gonna go back and we're just gonna put a full wall in. I mean, it's really all we can do, right? So we're gonna place this here, and we'll place another one here. And I don't go all the way up with this wall. I don't think it matters as much. So I just placed a few and then got them lined up perfectly. See that? That looks like one continuous wall. It's not all the way down, but it looks good. It all looks uniform and it looks like it's meant to be. I do decide that that should not be there, so we move that bench out of the way. And yeah, let's go check it out from up here. Like I said, always get all your angles, check every angle out, make sure that you can see what you want. That wall is longer than I originally had planned, so I want to be sure that I can still be in the loft lounge and see my area. I am going to delete these workbenches and move them all down because I want the car stackers in visible sight of that lounge, you know, like that's kind of why I do the lounge up there with the overlook, is so that you can just sit up there, eat your dinner and look at your cars. That's the ultimate dream in my opinion, is to have like an underground bat cave, man cave. I can just hang out, play games and look at my cool cars, build cool cars. I would love that. So we're gonna move the work area into the corner here. So it's a little tucked back and it kind of hides those shelves a little bit better. And then you can have the car stackers at the front and look at them. Since those are the narrow, shorter car stackers, I did kind of put them at the beginning there because you can actually fit the Mustangs in. You can't really park a pickup on those, so it's not really that important to have a ton of space, but you will need space to pull the cars in. That's why I can't have shelves behind it. I did realize that pretty early on, that you kind of have to be careful. You know, like I said, you don't want to be dealing with not being able to use them. So just be mindful of that as well. I do build cars periodically while building this here and test them out, drive them in there, see what I can fit, see what won't fit. I was hoping a semi would fit down here, but they don't fit perfect. This grate here is kind of a good one. It's part of a parking spaces mod pack. They look really good for drains, so I like to put them under things and make it look like we've got, you know, drains under them. What shop doesn't have a drainage system? Now we are going to find another garbage can, add that over there, delete that one. I kind of like the open one for the shop. It looks full and messy, and that's kind of how every shop garbage can is that I've ever seen. So we'll put that over there, and like I said, once again, we just cycle through these mods. We go up and down, back and forth, make sure that we leave nothing unturned. I do see this little reindeer again, and I think that'd look pretty cool by the pond up there in the waterfall, especially because it glows. When you leave construction mode, you walk up to it, you can click your left thumbstick, and it'll turn on the lights. And then it just like cycles through the little like animation for glowing, and it just kind of adds a neat little effect, like you've got neon signs inside. They don't really have actual neon signs, so we have to make do with what we got, right? Like I said, this is all on Xbox. This is possible on PlayStation, on Xbox, anything like that. You can do it on PC too, but let's talk about console here. You know, we got to stick up for each other and do what we can to keep up with PC, even if it's challenging. I do want an in-ground lift over here, so we'll throw one there kind of at an angle. I like that layout there. I'm starting to really enjoy how this bottom shop is coming together. I was thinking about adding a stacker in this corner, so we'll put one right over there and kind of see how it feels, but I do think we'll end up deleting that later. Alright, time to paint that little ground texture there, concrete, and then I kind of see this brick, and you know what? I like it. So we are going to paint the lounge with a different color this time. I really like this brick and how that turns out. I think that it looks really, really nice with the green and kind of that nice loungy bar vibe. Yeah, look at that. It almost looks like Italian or something like that. I don't know, maybe. It's kind of got the Italian vibes. We'll turn on our little neon light there. That's pretty neat, right? Then we'll run downstairs, kind of see how this flows, how this looks. Turn on our little reindeer down here and look it over. I mean, I do like how this works, but like I said, that end in-ground lift just isn't for me. So we're gonna delete that one, leave that space open for like a trailer or parking or something like that, and go from here. All right, at this point, let's move on and let's do our entrance header. I have kind of been dreading this part, so I saved it for last. I will end up pulling my pickup down here just to be sure that we get it, you know, tall enough to pull a truck down here. So I pulled my pickup down, then we'll just stack these cubes up to make a nice base to place our platform. Because like I said, the bunker silo pieces are invisible from below, and we don't want that. So now we will go back to decoration, and this is part of the dairy pack, a dairy decoration pack. They have these concrete plates that look really nice. I use them inside, outside, all over, but they're not invisible from underneath. So we are gonna place them to go beneath our concrete wall here and just kind of cover up that bottom. So we'll grab that silo piece, place it there. Wow, look at that. Now it is finished off. Delete those little cubes so that you can actually drive through. Like I said, you can see them when you're playing. So we deleted all of those there now, and look at that. That looks so much better. Alright, I am pretty happy with how this is turning out, but I do decide that we should add something for the top here. So we're going to add some more greenery and just line them up here. It kind of closes in that space and makes it look like windows maybe. I wish they had like actual window options, but they don't, unfortunately, so we'll make do with what we have. Time for the roof. When placing the roof, try and get them as lined up as possible. The bottoms do kind of have like beams that come out, so getting them lined up is your best bet for looking really good from below. It'll look good no matter what, but you can see here how it's kind of a little out of line. That's about the best you can do though. Looks really good. In that bunker silo pack, there are these concrete like pads, so I will place them over the top of the wood. This is something I thought of the other day, and I really love this because then it covers up the wood and just adds a concrete pad below. Once again, these are invisible from below, so you can't just use these, but you can use them on top of the wood. It did get a little off there because of the garage entrance, and these panels were a little higher than the end ones, so I should have almost went the other way, but it's not a huge deal. So I will just place a couple extra there just to fill in that corner. Guess what? Time to place the house. Alright, the house gets set down. It is on the pad. That looks good to me. Now, we did oversize this underground cave, so we are going to have to cover up the concrete pad around. You don't necessarily have to, but I'm going to. So I'm going to go around it with these concrete tiles and kind of make it look like decorative stone outside, maybe, I guess you could say. So we'll go all the way around, cover everything up, make it look as uniform as possible. I cut that part out. You guys don't want to watch me sit there for 5 minutes just messing with these tiles. And then I also decided these would look good as stepping stones. I know it's not centered. I know that was my mistake. I got excited when working on this and thought that it looked good. I wanted to leave a gap between that and, you know, the end. We're also going to add a pool, so I'm going to place that house with the pool just so I can have a good foundation for it. I do go underneath to make sure that it didn't disturb anything here, but we look good. So I'm going to go back to the bunker silo pieces, and we are going to use those concrete platforms again. I kind of raised it up a little bit. We don't need it that deep. If it's that deep, you're just going to drown. So we just raised it up a little bit and then made a nice little ground for the pool, and then we'll use the bunker side pieces for the sides of the pool. Once again, we are still below the ground, so that we can place a deck over top and it'll look good. Alright, we're going to skip around here a little bit. We've got the pool foundation made here. I'm happy with that. Let's put these grates on the side. I saw someone else do this and it looks really, really good. So we're going to do that as well. And then we need stairs for the pool. So we're back to those concrete plates again, and we're just going to kind of stack them. There's one of them that is single plates and then one of them that is stacks of plates. These aren't perfect, but we're going to put an end cap. You won't even see it. As long as you can walk up and down them, that's really all that matters, right? I've never really made stairs either, so that was my first attempt. We just put that bunker end cap there, and it made a nice little railing, and then we'll add 3 little lights in the corners just to kind of illuminate the pool at nighttime. You know, you want to be able to see. We're going to go back to our favorite bridge pieces here and build an actual deck. Now, I do end up covering this deck, like most of the wood, with the little concrete squares. But it does look really nice doing this. You just kind of have to work around the edges overlapping. You can kind of see how it made some lines there. So I don't love that. So that's kind of why we cover it with the concrete paneling. So we'll kind of go around, make sure everything's looking good. I did build it up here and build a base up so that everything was pretty close to flat, just so I could be sure that it, you know, fits in the end. We are going to add the water now. Whenever adding water, make sure that it is not hanging off an edge, going into your garage, anything like that. You don't want water in your man cave unless it's like in your waterfall, obviously. So just be mindful of that and keep that in mind. We're going to place some decoration around. Like I said, I always go up and down in the decorations, finding anything and everything that we can place. There are some pretty good, like, quote-unquote beach decorations, like the bike with the surfboard, the little beach chairs, the towels, you know. nice little beach vibes. So we're gonna place those around the pool. I am glad that they at least added some of that stuff so we can kind of make it work. Ironically, there is only one house with a pool, unless you make it like this. I mean, now any house can have a pool if you guys follow this. But yeah, it's kind of always thrown me off that they do that. I don't really know why they have so many outdoorsy like pool items. You can see here as I'm going around, I notice that we have started to overhang. So I'm gonna try and bring the ground up, but usually if something's placed, the ground won't let you move it around and manipulate it. So we're gonna do our best here, and then we'll try and smooth this out and make it look natural, but it kind of just made a bigger hole, honestly. So we are going to end up filling that in. I use, you know, those big decoration bundles of wood. I use a few of those to kind of fill that gap and make it look like maybe a pillar or, you know, extra support braces. So we throw a few of those in there just to kind of fill that space in. And then I am gonna actually cover this with hedges. So I'm not super concerned about it, but we did give it a little shot here at making it look like it had some support. I mean, like I said, we're gonna cover it anyway. I'm not too worried about it. You can see here now, I've extended back this patio and we've started to kind of go around the pool. I don't want this perfectly around the pool, but we are gonna fill in most of the wood to kind of cover up those ugly little lines where they overlap. Just be patient with it. Like I said, this is all trial and error. These didn't fit perfectly. None of these tiles were perfect. You can see I kind of got out of line and had to make these goofy little extra half lines and things like that. So we tried to make it look like a design on purpose. So if you look around, I did intentionally do some of these just to try and blend them a little better. Like right here, we're gonna add that little corner piece. It's got that little square in it. And then right here, we're gonna go around and do a little line straight down the center here because I kind of like that too. Once again, you just kind of gotta keep going, and if you don't like it, delete it. You know, it's pretty easy. Just press Y and go and delete it. Just be mindful of what you're deleting. We'll put a little statue over here and continue looking through our decorations. I do know that they need a seating area outside, especially by the pool there. I mean, they got the 2 chairs, but let's put a little seating area and things like that. I think that that would look nice. I do think that that grill should maybe be on some concrete, so we'll just do a little tiling right there to quote unquote raise it up. There's our little glowy boy. We'll throw another one over there, and then our little outdoor seating area. That looks nice. This is kind of overlooking like a little like edge with a nice little scenic overlook, so I am gonna leave that open, so if you're outside swimming or anything like that, you can just look over the edge and you have a beautiful view of kind of some nice hills and mountains and things like that. I love the scenes on this map. It's just awesome. So we're gonna keep going through our decorations. I was gonna do like a better railing. I didn't really get that to work right, so I kind of just gave up that idea and found these flowers, decided to throw them over there. And as you guys know from my other videos, I love the black flower pot with the pink flowers, so I put them everywhere. They are on all of my builds in multiple spots. I hide them all over the place. Keep an eye out, count them. I bet that I bet I have more than you would think. So going through here, we're just gonna kind of keep playing around with the other decorations, seeing what we can and can't do. And I mean, really, there's not too much more we're gonna be able to add. You don't want to overdo the space, but I did kind of oversize it back here. So, you know, keep in mind that if you're doing this, maybe make it a little smaller, bring it a little closer to the backyard there, and it might work a little better for you. I made it work, and I'm very happy with how this turned out. But you know, like I said, this is my second try. This will probably be your first try. Just be patient, take your time. Trial and error is key, dude. You'll figure it out. Go slow. If you're having issues with terrain tools, watch my other videos on terrain. If you're having issues, you know, with the building and things like that, drop a comment, join my Discord, comment on my TikTok, join one of my TikTok lives, anything like that, guys. I will happily give you pointers, tips, tricks, anything like that that you guys may need. I'm here to help you with it. I'm not gonna build it for you, but I will lay it out step by step so that, you know, anyone can do it. That's my goal here. So going through, we are gonna do our border per se. So we're kind of dealing with hills, so we do have the funky, you know, stair step look to the hedging, but that's okay. So here you can see how it changes sizes, but I just want a short one on the back so that it doesn't obstruct your view. So I did kind of do a medium one and then I swapped it to the short one. And right here, it keeps saying collided with objects, so you kind of have to work with it a little bit. I do just want a perfect little outline. I do leave stairs right there to go down, and then we've got to leave our entrance, right? You've got to be able to walk in somehow. We're gonna line up the driveway there for the underground compound, I guess. Yeah, let's keep calling it underground compound because it really is a compound, guys. That thing is huge. I'd love to see what you guys do with it. I mean, I'm excited to see when someone does like a 3 or 4 story underground one. Like, I think that people can do some crazy things on this game, and I'm excited to see what everyone can do, you know? Now we are gonna paint the grass and get all that done because it is about time for that. Quickly walking through here, making sure everything looks good. You know, once again, just giving it that little 1-2 back and forth. I do decide that we need a grand walkway, so we are going to add a few more little hedges here to make a little flower path. Going through here, I do kind of like the gravel idea also. I think that the gravel looks nice and it sounds cool when you drive on it. I don't know why. I like asphalt, but the gravel for like walkways, I think it's just a nice little touch. So we're gonna go a little over each side, and once again, I wasn't paying attention. It's not centered. I know, my bad. Arrest me for it. I'm kidding. Alright, so we're gonna do some pink flowers. I was gonna do grass, but I kind of like the pink flowers here. This is part of the plant decoration pack. I love this pack. They have some really cool flower options, but for some reason, I always pick these pink ones. I don't know why. Now we are going to do the actual grass texture. Now I did learn the other day, if you want to mow this, you can mow all of this grass. You mow it once, and if you're on console, once you mow it all, fast forward your time for 1 month, and then slow time back down, the grass will be grown back. After the grass is grown back, it'll never disappear again, but for some reason on console, the grass does just delete the first time that you mow it. So we'll just place grass all the way around. Be sure to be careful going around your man cave. You don't want grass inside your man cave. So go inside, check it out, make sure you don't get any in there because you'll be upset about that later. I do want to straighten these out a little bit better, so I'm gonna do a diagonal like zigzag pattern, but to get it perfect, I'm just gonna place all of them like this, and then we'll go through and delete every other. So we'll get them all the way out to the end here, and then boom, delete every other like that, and you've got a perfect zigzag now. Look at that, that looks nice. It's nice little stepping stones. They're a little extreme, but you know, the mansions that have that really crazy looking like the concrete pad walk-up area. Yeah, you know the type. All right, let's close off these little flower areas. I like that there. Wow, that is starting to look really nice. I think we need one more over here by the other side of the man cave entrance. So we will throw another one there and just quickly throw another patch of flowers down that center. Wow. I am loving how this is turning out. And like I said, I'm excited to see what you guys do after seeing this. So going here now, let's finish off our driveway. I usually use the round tool for this. And I use the second smallest one, like one up from the smallest. And I like them loop-to-loop driveways that are really long. So we're gonna loop it around. When you need to get the driveway all the way to the road, but it won't let it paint up there, go to others and download the road kit. This road kit mod, you lay these asphalt roads out and then delete them, and look at that, it painted it all the way up. Don't even have to think about it anymore. It is all the way up there. I'm happy with it. We're good to go, boys. Alright, we're gonna run through with the soften tool quickly just to make sure that there's no big edges, but I'm not too worried about the hills. I kind of like that hilly, like, you know, driveway. It's kind of neat. I don't think it'd be perfect or super realistic, but it'll make for a fun little drive or rip with the Mustang or Blizzard and the Logitech G920. The Logitech is just a great wheel on this game. Super fun, especially like with the pickups and trailers, and if you do role play things like that, like I like to do lawn mowing and driving truck, Logitech works phenomenal for that. If you're having issues with using the Logitech on this game, start up your game or open your game with the wheel. It'll work then. You just got to start the game with the wheel, guys. That's all you got to do to get it to work. We are going to use the decoration gate here, but I didn't end up liking it, so we ended up actually deleting it and going with a different type of fence. The decoration gate just doesn't quite fit some of the other fences, and this one has a really nice like mansion looking type of gate, so we're gonna go with this one here, but I do want it to open in, so we'll place it there. Let's just quickly go around the property. I mean, fencing is kind of boring. I don't like fencing, so we just throw it around and line our property up with it and give ourselves a nice little space to work with. Really, the only thing left here after the fence though, guys, is trees. I did add a pond. I've already made a video on the pond, so I did clip that out of this video. If you guys do want a tutorial on a pond, I do have a video about making ponds. Check that out and it should help you out there, but it's basically like making a pool, you just don't do the concrete bunker walls. So we'll just place some little bushes and trees. Be mindful when placing trees, grass, bushes, because you don't want trees, grass, or bushes where you don't want them. If you get them where you don't want them, you have to cut them down. No one likes that. You can make the trees and everything bigger or smaller by pressing left and right on the D-pad, and it will change the size of every single tree, which is kind of cool. You can bring them from, you know, a brand new sapling all the way up to a full-grown adult tree. So just kind of cycle through, get your choice, and you'll eventually find something that you like. So I like to fill in my space. I really like the privacy of trees. I think that it looks like a forest and it just is beautiful. Be mindful though, like I said, you don't want to put trees where you don't want them. You don't want to put trees like in front of where the pool's gonna be and you won't ever be able to see it. Like, that's no fun. Like I said, when building, it's all trial and error. I do like to do trees last though, because if you mess up, you have to go and cut it down. So just like with grass, take your time, go slow. And then I do like to line everything with hedges. Since this is such a hilly area, like I was saying with the fence earlier, it will kind of do the stair step effect, but I don't really care that much outside. You don't really see it when you're just cruising through, so it doesn't really bother me. But inside, that would drive me nuts looking at it doing that stair step all day. Oh, I would not be able to stand that. So we'll just finish this off here and kind of make this look good. And boom, voila. Let's do this outside edge, and that's it, guys. That is the new tutorial for the 2-story underground man cave and a lounge. It's not that hard. It's pretty simple. Just follow this tutorial and yeah, you should be able to do it. Like I've said before, drop a subscription if you like what you've seen here. Drop a like, drop a comment. That engagement really does help me, guys. Otherwise, I really appreciate all your views and support. It has been a wonderful journey so far. Check me out on TikTok at FarmSim25Builds. I do post so regularly, and I do live stream all the time on TikTok, where we are fully building out the neighborhood on Settlers and doing stuff like this, where I can live chat with you and give you tips and tricks. Otherwise, thank you guys. Have a wonderful night.